Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim wa sallallahu ala nabi al-kareem. I think we should start now. We have a reasonable number of people. I would like to start by thanking, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I would like to start by thanking each and every one of you for attending the second session, which is going to be about assessment in Blackboard. All right. I completely understand that long videos are very, very boring to watch. So I'm going to make the presentation or the workshop as short as possible. So it's going to be task oriented. And to help deliver the workshop expeditiously, I divided it into 4 parts. And by the end of every part, I'll open the floor for questions and for comments. I'm sure there are people that are really, really good in Blackboard now, people that are way, way better than me. So I'll open the floor for discussions and for questions at the end of every part. There are 4 parts to talk about today, right? So avoid asking questions in the middle in order to make the whole presentation faster or the whole workshop to go faster, all right? So these are the areas that I'm going to talk about. I'll start by talking about creating assignments. Actually, creating assignments is very, very useful when you are expecting to, when you give students something and you're expecting them to submit a deliverable, right? It could be a file, it could be a program file. So for those of us that have courses that have lab component, you may find this useful. Or if you give students some assignment and you're expecting them to do something either in Microsoft Word or in PowerPoint or in any other, you expect them to submit anything, then creating assignments, you'll find this useful. The second thing I would like to talk about is how to create question banks, okay? So we look at how to create questions, different kind of questions directly in Blackboard, and then we look at how to import questions, assuming if you already have your questions ready-made somewhere, how can you import those questions into Blackboard? And then the third thing to talk about is how to create and deploy tests. So we look at how to create a test, right? And then add questions to the test, and then how to deploy it. Deploying test is just making it available for students to be able to attempt the questions, right? So we look at how to do those things. And finally, we look at how to prevent digital cheating. Basically, we'll be looking at lockdown browser and Respondent Monitor in this part, okay? So these are the areas that I'm going to talk about. As I said, in order to help us go through the workshop faster. Yes. Okay. So as I said, in order to make the whole thing faster, right? Avoid asking questions or making comments in the middle. I'll give you the opportunity to work at the end of every part. So I'll start by talking about the first one. That's how to create assignment.
Sorry, brother Abubakar, I'm interrupting you. There is a small suggestion.
Okay.
If you start with agenda number 2, because quizzes are nowadays the thing that first we need to create.
Don't worry, Faisal. It's gonna take me 5 minutes to talk about this. We'll cover everything expeditiously, inshallah. Right? Okay. Let me just go through. Yeah. This is also important.
We need the session to finish before 10, please.
Inshallah. So avoid asking questions so that I can finish before 10. Yeah, let me just go through it faster. So the very first thing is how to create assignment. It depends on how you create your course menu. By the way, it's very important you arrange your course menu carefully and explain your course menu to students so that they know how to join sessions, they know how to find the lecture materials, you know how to find your assignments and quizzes, and how to check their grades. This is very important. Okay, so for instance, let me take in this course I have a lab session. So I'll go to my lab. I divided my lab into different modules. Let's say, for instance, this is lab number 4. If I go to lab number 4, I can create an assignment here, right? So to create an assignment, you simply go to assessment, right? By the way, the assignment here, I'm creating it in such a way that I'm expecting them to submit a lab work. So ideally, I should add a lab component here. Let me just go a little bit to a previous lab, for instance, this lab. See, already I uploaded this lab to them. If they click on this lab, they can see what they are supposed to do. And then I create an assignment so that they submit it. So I'll just show you how to create the assignments, all right? So to create the assignments, you go to the content area or wherever you want to add it. You go to assessment, then assignment, all right? You give the assignment a name, all right? It could be submit assignment 1 here, or you can call it assignment 2, or kindly maybe submit lab 4 here, or kindly submit lab 4 here. If you have any instruction that you want to add, you can add the instruction here. Or if you already have something that is clearly mentioned, you can say carefully read the instructions given in the attached document, right? So they can read the attached document if you have it, right? And then attach it. If you have an attachment, anything that you want to add, you can add it here, right? Like for instance, let me give you one example. I already have an assignment one. If you have something like this that's ready-made, with the instruction and everything with what they're supposed to do. So the instructions and what the students are supposed to do is already mentioned here. So you can just tell them carefully read the assignment and then attach that document here. Let me just show you. I need to look for where I keep it. It's in workshop number 2, assignment 1. So that file will be here, will be there for the student to see. And then you go to due date, right? When are you expecting the students to submit? You can specify, if you give it to them today, how many days are you giving them? You specify exactly which date you want them to submit that. And then what points are you giving? Is it 100%? Is it 10%? Whatever it is, you enter it here. And then there are so many things you can do. For instance, submission details. Are you expecting the students to submit the work as a group or as individual, right? If you're expecting them to submit it as a group, you specify. If it's an individual, you specify it here, right? And how many attempts are there? Single attempts or multiple attempts? If you want them to have multiple attempts, you can specify how you want to grade it. Are you picking the highest grade or the lowest grade or whatever it is? But in most cases, we just give them single attempt, right? So you specify it here, and you can check for submission plagiarism. There are so many tools you can use here in Blackboard. And with respect to grading options, you can decide to make it anonymous so that the names of the student doesn't appear or do not appear. Or if you are a true educator, people that are really involving others to help in grading or to have a second opinion, you can delegate grading to another person to do the grading. Yeah, and then how do you expect to display the grade for the primary score? Are you looking at just the score or letter grade or whatever, right? There are so many things you can use here, right? But in our case, you can even add a rubric, right? A rubric is just like a score guideline that will help the student or help the grader to see how to do the grading. This is particularly useful if you are doing peer review or something, so that you have the same guide for them to follow when it comes to giving the score. If you don't have any, if you have an existing rubric, you can take it here. If you don't, you can create a new one, right? If you look at here, for instance, these are the areas they're looking at. They're looking at formatting, organization, and then grammar. These are the weightages. And then for novice, you need to specify for novice what maybe he didn't do anything. There is the formatting was wrong. And for competent means somebody that's very good. Proficient means outstanding. So you can specify the rubric here, right? And you can add more rows if you're not interested in just formatting, organization, and grammar. So you can add a rubric. There are so many things you can add here. And when to make it available, you specify when exactly, when is it going to be available for students, until what time. So you're giving them a window through which they can answer the question. Outside this window, the student cannot be able to see that assessment, and they cannot submit it. If you want to track view, this is very important when it comes to statistics. If you want to have some statistical analysis that you can use later, you can check on this, right? The most important for you to remember here is that when you're creating an assignment, you just need to give it a title. If you have instruction, you give it. If the instruction is in your attached document, you can attach it here, right? If you don't have anything, you can mention everything here. And then you simply need to come and specify the due date and then the availability, and then submit it, right? Let's take, for instance, what is this? I made it today at 9. The due date, let's say 23rd. Let's say the due date is today at 4, or whatever it is, at 10 p.m. and you submit it. Once you submit it, the student will see that, all right? And they can do their work. When they finish, you just click on this, right? And the file that we attach is downloaded. They can open the file. As you can see, the file is there. They can open the file and do whatever is there, all right? And if you click on where you can submit, you can see the due date. This is the due date. This is the point, right? And also they can write something and upload their work. Once they're done, they submit it. That is how to submit an assignment. Okay, somebody is guessing. Yeah, please, if you have your mic unmuted, can you please mute it? Thank you very much, Dr. Gassin. All right. So once you do that, the student will submit his work, and then the work will go, and you will see it. So once submitted, all right, you can go to Grading Center and see what he has done. You can see full Grade Center so that you can see all the assessments, or if you want to see only assignments or tests, or if you want to see things that you have not graded yet. So you can click on this to see the things that I've not graded. So there's an assignment that was submitted, and there's a test that was submitted, and you can click on one of them. Like for instance, for this student, if I click on this, I can see and download his work, whatever he has submitted, and give him mark. My mark is out of 10, I can give him 9, or I can give him whatever I want to give him, and that is it. Okay, this brings me to the end of the first part. Now I open the floor for questions or comments. Yes, please.
Can I ask questions, brother Abubakar?
Yeah, if you have a question, you can ask a question now regarding the first part that we talked about. Okay.
Yeah, how I tried to create a group assignment, but then it couldn't work because I couldn't actually create a group of students. Can you do it for us?
You were trying to create group assignment.
Yeah, but then doesn't work. It's not showed for the student because the group of the student is not actually created. And when I look in the YouTube, we don't have the same actually template of the Blackboard. So some of the feature is not there.
Okay,
Yes.
I've never done it, but let's see. You're trying to create a group assignment. So in group assignment, if I understand what you're seeing, let me just open this and go to. Sorry. Let's take, for instance, we go to the same place. I'll put it in the same place so that I can delete it later. All right. So by group assignment, let's say test group. By group assignment, you give the instruction and all that. You want to put the students in group. Is that correct? Yeah, Habibi?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is going to be group assignments. No group have been created to make this group. Okay, you need to create a group first.
Yes.
Okay.
You selected individual. Why did you select individual?
No, it's not individuals.
Oh, yeah, okay, you fix it now.
Group submission.
If I do it this way, student they cannot see it unless I have to create the groups, and then
Yeah,
I have some, it's not clear how to create.
Okay. Just a minute. Let me see how do we get groups. Okay. Can I come back to this question after a while, Gamudi?
Sure.
Okay. I'll look at it. Just give me some time. Any other question, please?
Okay, sure.
Yes, we have a question, Mr. Abubakar.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
Can we, if we want to
Walaikum
share the
salam.
same assignment to the other session, how we can do it?
If you want to do what?
The sharing the same assignment to the other session. If we have a multiple sessions and we have same assignment.
Okay. All right. What I do, I only copy. Instead of sharing the same thing, when you create a test or an assignment in one place, you can copy it to other sections. So it's the same content, it's the same everything, but you're copying it to another section. But there is something, if it is not assignment, for instance, let me just show you one thing. There's something known as quickly tools that you can use for certain things if you are posting, but it may not work for this thing. So come here. Listen. No, maybe here. Quickly attendance. There's something here known as quickly tools. All right. If you use quickly tools, it allows you to send certain things to all the sections. But test is not one of them, right? Let me just give you an example. Sending, or let's say to all sections, post to all. Okay. Here's an example. I'll not make it available for the students at the moment. All right. So I have test to all, or send to all. Should be here. Post to all. That's where the limit is gonna post this. Just wait for it to load. Just wait a little bit. It's going to load. I think it's taking too long. Let me access it again. Post to all again.
What happened?
It's taking too long. I don't know why. Just hold on a little bit.
Yes, Mr. Adam. I have a small question here.
Just a minute, please. Before you ask a question, let me just attempt to answer the other question. I'm trying to see how to do this in 1 minute. 1 minute, please. Sorry. Let me see. Created post to all. Okay, your quickly tools actually will allow you to send. You can either post an assignment or send an email or post a particular content. You can even create an assignment. Very good. Thank you. One of them is to create an assignment. Somebody asked, how can he create the same assignment to multiple sections? So you click on this, right? From here, you can specify here. If you look at this column, it shows all the courses that are assigned to you. So you can select all the courses that you want to send that assignment to, all right? Multiple sections, all right? You give it the name. What is the name that you're going to give it? The possible point, right? How many attempts do you want to give them? 1 attempt something. What is the possible point? What is the due date? What is the score? All right. And for instance, the due date, let's say, is 22nd tomorrow. And you can specify, if you have any instruction, you enter the instruction just like what I said before. Carefully read the instruction in the attached document. And if you have the file, you click on this and select the file. All right. You choose where the file is. Okay. Let's say assignment number 1. And then once it's there, you can post it. Okay. So if you post, just a minute. Choose the file. Sorry. File is there. Maybe because it's no file, let me just choose a particular file. File is there.
Why the file is not coming?
It's coming, sorry. I'm trying to see, okay, if I come there, I'm supposed to see all the screen. Okay, very good. It's here. I'm not seeing the complete screen for whatever reason. Here, and then you submit it here. My screen is too short. I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, so once you select the file, right? Let me select it again. You choose the file. You say this is the file, all right? So you give your instruction, you give whatever it is here, and then you submit it. This will be posted to all the sections that you select here. So using Quickly tools, you can actually specify the assignment to go to multiple sections of the courses that are assigned to you. Okay? I hope I've answered your question, the last person.
On the left is the name of the courses, not the sections.
The courses are the same as sections. So for instance, if you look at here, I have, this is a course. Like if you have a section that is assigned to you, it's actually treated like a course. So
Yeah, but
all
these are different courses.
Because I have different courses. Like this, let me give you an example. I have the same course here. Computer programming, ELET 104, ELET 104. All the courses that are assigned to me will appear here. So I decide which courses that, or which sections or which courses I want to give them to. So here, if you look at all of them are the same courses, ELET 104, section 10, ELEC 104, section 8, ELET 104, section 2, right? What the bottom line is that all courses that are assigned to you will appear here. So if, for instance, I want to give all my students the same announcement, so I can give it to them. I don't have to do it for just one. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Haider. So I remember there's a question from Dr. Gamoudi. I don't forget Dr. Gamoudi. I'll look into it, inshallah. Any more questions regarding the first part, creating assignments?
Yeah, just one thing, Brother Abubakar.
Yes.
If a course is shared by two different teachers, can we have one quiz? Because, you know, like the section that is allocated to me is not with the other teacher.
Yeah, I understand.
Can we have, so is there any chance of having one exam for both the sections?
Okay, I remember Dr. Adnan sent one tool that will help us, but we need to enable something and configure it that will enable us to manage different sections by the same course. But for now, the way the setting is, the way Blackboard is configured, you can only copy it. So you copy the same test from one section to another. You're not really writing the test multiple times. You're just copying it. So you can export it and import it. So it will be the same, but you will do a little bit of work. But if something is, I remember Dr. Adnan sent something to me and to Dr. Ali. I think the people of Jubail are looking at it, or the admin. If that is configured, then managing different sections of the same course will be more efficient. It's just like having one course and you have children. So you have the parent and the children, you can handle them effectively. But for now, you can just only copy. If you copy the test, you're not repeating the test. The test is the way it is with the same number of questions. You just replicate it.
But that means each teacher has to prepare, has to put the information in their own section.
Not prepare. The test is prepared once, then replicated.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. Each teacher has to do that then.
Okay, yeah. It could be, it's just like what, 1-2 minutes thing. Once the test is there, right, he can export it and then you import it and upload it. Right, we're going to see maybe when I'm talking about how to create tests, we're going to see how to copy and do that. But if Dr. Adnan, can you remember what you sent if you're still here? Dr. Adnan sent something to me and Dr. Ali, and it was forwarded to the admin. They said, yeah, they will look into it. If it is configured in Blackboard, then we can do that. We can manage the course, one course with multiple sections. But right now it's just replicated. I don't know, Dr. Amir Khan, we're not really creating the test again and again. It's just replicating. Yeah. It's just like saying you have one question paper that's already there and it is photocopied. You're just taking it and giving it to the students.
Okay. Let me try.
Okay.
Thank you,
Mr. Abubakar, if you allow me just to give another maybe information or piece of information. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Yes, that's true. We are working with the consultant to check, the possibility of copying, all the assignment to all sections. And the reason we couldn't deploy this maybe feature is the synchronization between the SIS and the Blackboard is still not automatically. So we are doing it manually. It means when a student drop or add a course, then we cannot see it directly in Blackboard. So we need to do it, manually by every night. And this, if we allow, the multiple section will make, a problem because you will still see, the students in the course. So for that reason, we still working with Jabal team to make the synchronization, inshallah, automatically between the two systems. And it is very important actually to allow other features in the system, because without the synchronization, the data will not be updated, and you will see a lot of maybe invalid maybe data. So this is the reason, and inshallah we are working on it. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ali. By the way, Dr. Ali is my boss, and he's the main guy. He's the main face of Blackboard. So they are working behind the scene day and night. If you look at certain things, there are certain things that used to happen. If we make a change on people's campus solution, it used to happen live when we're using e-learning. But now, because of certain things, it's not yet there. So even this, Dr. Ahmed, if you just give us some time, all will be okay. But for now, it's just replicating. It's just like 2-3 minutes job, and the job is done. But if you want it easier, inshallah, it will be fixed, as Dr. Ali said. They're still working on it.
And by the way, Abubakar, okay, I'm in the same boat. Okay, we are with the RCYCI sector. I'm not owning Blackboard, so it is not mine. I wish, but it is not mine. So we are trying actually to collect all the suggestions, all the recommendations from our colleagues. And inshallah, we will enhance all the services, and inshallah, we will get a good service. Inshallah.
Thank you very much. Okay, this is the first part.
One question, small question. For the grading, we got an email that says the grade should go to PeopleSoft, not in the Blackboard. So we don't need to put the grade in the Blackboard.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's just if you want the student to view it, you can do it. Or if you already have, what is important is for you to get the deliverables. So if the student submitted the deliverables and you have it, you can grade it and put it in PeopleSoft or anywhere, whatever is decided. Yeah, you agree. You're right, Mr. Sami. So you have it. What is important is you give them a task, they have done it, and they send it to you. You've seen them, you've seen whatever they've sent, and you have graded them. You have the mark. Right? If you want them to see it in Blackboard, it's there. But since we're not entering it there, yeah, you can put it in PeopleSoft. Thank you for the comment. So I'll move now to the second part. The second part is about creating question bank. All right. So we really took a lot of time talking about creating assignments. I think it's going to be 5 minutes. I'm sorry, Mr. Faisal. All right. Now I'll go to the second part, which is creating question bank. And to do that, you need to come to course tools, and you go all the way down. There's somewhere where it says test, surveys, and pools. Right? You click on that. Okay. This will give you the option to create test, or to create surveys, or to create.
Why your screen is blurry?
Maybe your internet is not good. Is it blurry for everybody?
It's a kind of.
Can you clearly see my screen?
Yeah, I see it right now, but okay, before like.
Yeah, okay, just give it some time. It's loaded, right? It takes some time for it to load completely. All right. So you have tests, surveys, and polls. All right. When you're creating question banks, basically you need to use polls. Polls, you're just like creating a database of questions that you can reuse them in tests, right? But in terms of interaction, there's no big difference between tests and polls here, right? You create tests the same way. You create a test and you add questions. Here too, you create a poll and you can add questions or build questions to it. So basically, in terms of interaction, it's almost the same thing. But the only difference is that when you create polls, you cannot make students to take polls as questions. So you can only reuse them in particular tests. So let's look at how to create polls. You click on polls, right? And if you have any poll, it will appear here, all right? So if I click, you can click or import a particular poll. Let me just click on this to create a new one. You can give it a test. I can call it workshop poll or whatever, right? If you have instruction, you can give the instruction, right? And that's it, you submit it. If you have any instruction or a description, you can add it here. If you don't have any, you can just say submit, right? With this, we have created a poll. You can see in the poll canvas, it says we have workshop poll. So in here, you can add questions directly to the poll, all right? By clicking on this, you have different kind of questions. Actually, there are 3 options. It's either you create the question directly, or you find an existing question if you have a question is available, or you can upload, right? So let's start by creating a question, right? There are different kind of questions that you can ask. You can ask the students, but basically we ask multiple choice questions, short answer questions, true or false, right? So let me, assuming I want to create a true or false question, I can come here, and if you want to give it a number or a title, you can. If you don't want to give it, you can just enter the question directly. Let's say the capital. This is a true or false question. I can say the capital of Saudi Arabia, KSA, is Jeddah, right? The capital of Saudi Arabia is Jeddah. This question, this statement is false. So the right answer will be false, right? And then you can, if you want to add, let's say, a response so that the student can see it. If he's right, you can say correct, or you can say X, or whatever you want to say. If he is wrong, you can say wrong, if the answer is not correct, or whatever comment you want to add. If you want to add the same kind of question, right, you can click on this, submit, and create another. So it will submit this question, and it will allow you to create another kind of multiple choice question, right? But another question I can say, RCYCI is in Eastern Province. Eastern, oh, let's say it's in Yamber. Let me make this one true. It is in Yamber, right? So this is true, right? Same, you can say correct. The response to this, sorry, you can say wrong or whatever you want to add. Okay, if you're done with multiple choice question, true or false question, you can submit it. So my poll now will have 2 questions, all right? 2 true or false question. If you want to add another kind of question, I can come here and add, let's say, multiple choice. Okay, I can add a title if I want, and if I can want to, you just directly add the question. Let's see, there are 5 pillars of Islam. Or Islam has 5 pillars. This is all. No, how many pillars of Islam are there? Let's see, since this is multiple choice, how many pillars of Islam do we have? All right. So you can have here you can specify how many options you want to have. You can have 4 or whatever. I think up to 100 or more, up to 100 options, right? So usually we give them 4 options, right? You can specify this is 4. Whatever the true question, if you want the first one to be true, then you need to make it 5 because there are 5 pillars. But assuming I make it 4, I make this one 3, and then make this one 2, and let's say the last one, I'll make it the correct one, 5. Then I need to choose this button, making this answer to be correct. All right. So this is how to add questions directly from Blackboard. Right now I have 3 questions. Okay. You can also find questions. If you have existing questions from certain pool, right, you can see in the pool what questions are there, and you can select them. For instance, I have some existing questions. You can select the questions that you want to add, okay, and it will be there. Or you can upload questions, which is the second part of what I want to talk about, right? So if you choose on this, you can choose and select a question from a pool, all right? So let's say, for instance, I already have a question here. The thing about important question is that you need to put it in a particular format, and you need to use a particular generator in order to put it in the format that Blackboard will understand. So let's say, for instance, I have this question. This is an old question that I have. Let's say, for instance, I have these questions, and I want to import, let's say, some of these questions. Let me some of them, whatever, let's say 5 of them. Okay, Control C. Now, when you take this, you need to put it in a particular format, all right? But before that, okay, let me just go to Notepad. Before that, let me show you one thing here. As I said, I don't know if RCYCI or Jubail has their own Blackboard test generator, but what I use is you just go to the internet and you can go to Blackboard test generator. There are different generators out there. It depends on the one you're using. They will tell you the format that they want. Basically, I use either this or the second one. So if you look at this, what you need to do, you need to put the questions in this format. If you look at this instruction, I don't have to read this because there's no time. I'll just show you what I need to do. I can put it in Notepad, right? In Notepad, I can paste my questions. These are the questions I have. The first thing is, it says questions start with a number followed by a period, and answer starts with a letter followed by a period. So I need to make all my questions here, instead of having this long space, I just need to have a period. So 2 dot something, even the questions here. So I can set
period.
Period means not.
Yeah, I know, but what do you mean?
Huh?
I know. I didn't get your point. Okay, you said period. Period where?
Okay, if you can just hold in a little bit, you'll understand what I mean. Let me just finish the explanation. Instead of having comma, you should have a period. So I'll just explain to you what that means, right? Just give me a couple of minutes. I'll explain it. If you come here, let's say I want to do Control F, or maybe search and replace. Let's say replace. So instead of having, okay, before I do that, see, let me just copy this. I have this space. I want to copy this to make it faster. Then I need to replace it. Okay, I want to replace this with, Dr. Hassan, this is a period, a dot and one space. All right, so if I replace all of them, if I have 1,000 questions, all of them will be replaced. So by this, I am putting the question in the format that they want. So I have all questions should start with a dot and a with a period and a space. You have a number and that. So you can, if you want, you can remove. Don't leave unnecessary spaces. Sometimes it doesn't, you know, it makes the generator not work properly. So I have 5 questions here. So even if you have many questions, you can put them in this. This is when you work over and over again. Even if you have like 50 questions, this would be like, I don't know, maybe 7 to 10 minutes exercise, or even 5. Right? You just search and replace, and you do that. So I'm gonna copy these questions, and I'll go to my.
You're using a notepad right now.
Yes.
Okay.
You can use anything. You can use anything you want. I'm using Notepad just to copy and replace, just to have it there. I can use it.
Yeah, like if I use Word, okay, my question will be disturbed or what?
No. You can use Microsoft Word. Search and replace is there in Microsoft Word.
Oh.
Yeah, you can use anything. You can use any editor. Okay, so I'll copy this. All right, I'll come back to this place and paste it here. Remember, I just have my questions here. Okay, if I try to generate the test, if it is okay, it will generate it. But if something is wrong, it will highlight it. Now there are certain things I'm supposed to do here, but I didn't do it. I leave it on purpose. All right, let me just generate it so that I show you what it means. If I click on this, see, it highlights everything in red, meaning that it is not correct, because I didn't specify what is the correct answer. All right, let's assume that, okay, as I said, it depends on the generator. Some generator will make you to identify the correct answer by putting a star at the end. In this particular generator, you need to put the star at the beginning, right? So I'm specifying that this question, the correct answer is A. All right, so if I generate this test, if it is okay, it will change the first one to green, meaning that it is okay. So let's do the same thing. In the second one, let me say the second, not necessarily B is the right answer. I'm just putting it A, B, and then
But
C.
be careful, don't leave it in the test.
What?
Don't leave it in the test. I'm saying be careful, don't leave it in the test, so don't forget it.
Okay, thank you very much. So if I have this, I can generate my test. So if everything is okay, all the questions will be green. Can you see that? So that means it is ready for me to upload it into, to download it so that I can upload it into Blackboard. All right. So I can download my test questions. My test question will be in the text file. I need just make sure where it is. Show where it is. It is usually in the download. So I have it as Blackboard quiz. I have it here. So I can go back to Blackboard. In Blackboard, right? Remember, we already have how many questions here? We have 3 questions. Now I want to upload more questions. All right, I can browse here. Tamam. I need to go to download. In download, I have this is my question. I can open it. All right. If you like, you can give marks to it. How many points are you giving it? I can say 1, and then submit it. So now I have a total of 8 questions, right? Initially I have 3, then I added 5. Okay, you can add more questions. Let's see, make the points. All of them should have this point. All of them should have 1 point if you want. So all will have 1 point. So you have a total of 8 questions, and each one of them has 8 points. There's something here you need to be careful. Whenever you upload questions, it's very important you look at the questions carefully, because sometimes when you upload it, it changes either the format or maybe some options may be missing or something. So after uploading it, don't just assume that everything is okay. You can check the questions either one by one, or when you put it in the test, you can view it. Okay. So this brings me to the end of the second part, which is how to create questions directly in Blackboard and how to import questions in Blackboard. Now I'll open the floor for questions and discussions. Okay, I think it's straightforward. Fine. Now that we have our question, okay, sorry, and somebody wants to say something?
Mr. Abubakar, when there is a pool of questions,
okay.
So like suppose there are 20 questions in this pool.
Yes.
And I want to pick, say, 10 questions for the quiz.
Okay.
So is it possible that students get different questions for them, or there will be the same exam for all?
Let me understand your question. You have a pool of 20 questions, right?
Yes.
And then from this pool of 20 questions, you created a quiz. And in the quiz, you're taking only 10 questions.
Yes.
Yeah. So what you're saying is,
what I want is that the students should have a different sequence or different set of questions.
From the pool.
Yeah.
Dynamically.
Sorry?
To be selecting dynamically. So you have a quiz. Let's understand how it works. If now what we have done, we just created a pool. In the next test, we're creating and deploying tests. That is the next step that you're asking your question. But let me understand your question. Now I create a quiz, right? And the quiz, I want to pull some questions from that pool, right?
Yeah.
So in my quiz, I have quiz 1. I'm specifying that this quiz 1 should take 10 questions. So it will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what you're saying is, I have quiz 1, but what you want is quiz 1 for student A. It will take, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then it will jump to 15, 18, 19, 20. And then for student 2, it will take 6, 7, 8, and that. I don't think that is possible. I don't know. Even if it is possible, I don't know how to do it. Right now, quiz, what you do when you create your quiz, you are selecting from that pool that these are the set of questions we want. But probably it's possible. I think it's possible. And it will make it really interesting to see that. So that different students will have different set of questions. But the only problem with that setting is that if the level of difficulty is not the same, then you are not treating the set of students the same. But if you have the same number of students, let's say 10 students or 20 students in the section, you're giving them the set of questions, but you can randomize it. You can make them to see it differently. But if you choose different questions, then the issue of being fair to all the students may be a question. But it will be interesting to really check if it's possible. Yeah,
okay,
but right
can the questions be randomized rather they have a same sequence?
Yeah, questions can be randomized. That's what we're going to do. We're going to see how to choose the question and randomize them. But that is not what the last question is. The question is saying. What he says is he has a pool of 20 questions, right? And in the quiz, same quiz 1, for student 1, it should be 1 to 10. For student 2, it should be, let's say, 11 to 20. For student 3, it should be 5 to 14 or 15. If I understand you, that's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the only one issue there, as I can see it, is if the difficulty of the questions are not the same, then it becomes an issue. And it will be interesting to look into it. Yes,
Abubakar, how long your presentation is gonna take?
Many people are speaking. Can one person speak, please? Yes, Dr.
in a pool, if you have 100 questions, then you can do the shuffling between the questions and you can create different samples for students.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
So, but what he doesn't want to have quiz 1, 2, 3. He wants to have one quiz dynamically changing at all times. I think it's a bit difficult to do that. But if you have 100 questions, you can create you know, a sample of 3 and you can shuffle among them. Yes, and that is what we're going to see in the third part of the presentation. Any more questions? Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Now, the next thing, now we already have a question pool. If you can see here,
How long is it going to take you this part, Abubakar?
It depends on the number of questions people are asking.
Just
Yeah, because we're going to leave, okay, after 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll try to see what I can do, inshallah. If there are no questions, I'll try to finish as soon as possible. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you for attending. Now, I have a pool of 8 questions, all right? Now I just have a pool, all right? The next thing I would like to do is to create a question. To create a question, you need to go to where you want the student to see the questions. For instance, I can come to assessment. Let me create a folder here so that I can delete it later. Workshop test, all right, or whatever you want to call it. If you want to give it instruction, I'm just creating a folder so that I can easily delete it later. So if I come here, let's say for instance, this is where I want to create the test so the student can attempt to answer it. So you come to test, you know, instead of going to anywhere, you just come to assessment and you go to test, all right. In test, you can create a new one or you can reuse an existing question, right? So let's take for instance, I want to create a new test. I can call it workshop test or quiz. All right. If you have instruction or description you want to give it, if you have an instruction, you can give the instruction. Let's say answer all questions. Whatever instructions you want to give it, you can start by making a heading here saying this is instructions, right? And give 1, 2, 3. This is the first instruction, right? This is you can add the next instruction, number 2, whatever instruction you have in there, you can add it, all right, and then you submit. So as you can see in the test canvas, I have a question here, a test here known as workshop quiz, and it doesn't have any question yet. So you can, just like as what I told you, you can either create questions directly, just like what we did in the poll, or you can reuse, or you can upload, similar to what we've seen in the pool, right? So let's say, for instance, I want to reuse random block. You come here and reuse the questions that you have. So I have some questions that I've created. Here I can go to the workshop pool, okay? And I want to see all these questions, right? See all the questions that I have are already here. Why does it keep not showing me my full screen? Okay, so I have all the questions here, all right? So if I select all these questions and submit it, the questions will be added there, right? No, if you pull questions, now I'm reusing all these questions. But by the way, from there, if you don't want to use all the 8, you can check and remove some of them, okay? And here you can specify how many questions you want to see. If I want to see all the 8 questions, you can specify 8 of them, all right? If you want part of them, you can do that. And regarding the point, you can make per question 1 or to be 2, whatever you enter here. See, it is 80 because each question is scored to have 1. If I want it to be like that, I have it to be here. So by this, I'm creating questions. So simply what I did here is I created a test and added questions, right? So my quiz, my test is created as a workshop quiz, and I've added the questions. How do I get my questions? I got the questions from the poll. Now, if I go back here, let me just show you one thing here. If I go to test, okay, and check all the tests that are available, right? One of them is a workshop quiz. You can see that it is not deployed, okay? It is not deployed. So we need to deploy it, which is the second part of number 3. So you need to go to where you want to add it, all right? Let's say I want to add it here, a workshop quiz, all right? I can say test. So you can reuse workshop quiz. Can you see that? And submit it. Now, this is where you specify the details about the test or the quiz. You see your instruction will appear here. If you want to show this instruction above so that student can see it, you can click on this, right? If you want to open it in a new window, you can select this one, or if you want it to be wherever it is, you can do that. And then test availability, make available to students. For now, you can make it. You can decide not to make it available. So, Abubakar, we have a meeting after 10 minutes. Okay, inshallah, I'll try to go through this very fast. Thank you, Mr. Faisal. So make available to students. When you're setting it, it's always advisable not to make it available yet until just before the exam or before the quiz. So you can make it no. If you want to add new announcement, you can do that. If you want to have multiple attempts, you can do that. But usually we have single attempts. You can force students to complete. Right, post completion is one student. This must be completed. So usually, if you give them the test, you want them to complete it. If you want to set a time, what is the duration of the test? The quiz, is it 30 minutes? Right, you specify 30 minutes, and then you can set auto submit off or on. If you make it off, that means even after the time has expired, if the student started and after 30 minutes, it will allow the student to complete. If you make it on, then the student, whatever he has done will be submitted automatically. So it's up to you. You can set it on or leave it off. And then what window do you want to give the student to, attempt the test? So you specify the time. The duration of the test is 30 minutes, but you want it to be open for 1 hour or for 2 hours, whatever it is. Let's say today, same day, they will start at 10, right? You give the time. Let's say you want them to start at 10. And you want to give them a window of 2 hours if you want. It's up to you, whatever you want to give them. A window of 2 hours, let's say I want it to be available for them for just 1 hour. But the duration is 30 minutes, okay? You specify that. If you want to give them, it's always advisable to use this password so that the student can, you need to give them the password before they can attempt it. So if for any reason you make a mistake, you made it available, it's always advisable to give them something like a password, right? And you should.
Mr. Abubakar, okay, we need to go right now. We have a meeting. Okay, thank you so much.
No, thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khairan, ya Dr. Hassan. So you need to specify the password, and then when is the due date? You specify the due date, all right? And in terms of show result, test result, and feedback, you can specify when you want it. Usually after submission or on time or whatever it is. If they finish the exam, preferably, you want to show them their score, and you want to show which answers are correct and the ones they have submitted, right? If you want to give them the feedback, remember in the questions you wrote right or wrong, you want to give them whatever you want the student to see after they finish, after they submitted, you can specify it there, right? Test presentation at once or one time. How do you want to present the question? Do you want to present all the questions so that the student can see all of them? Or you want to present one question at a time? Usually it's better you can give them one question at a time. And if you don't want them to backtrack, to move back, you can check on this, right? Or you can allow them to backtrack, to move back and forth between questions. And this is where you can randomize the questions. You can decide to, what number 1 for student A, maybe number 10 for another student, right? And once you're done with that, then you can submit it. You need to cannot be later than that. Okay, sorry. This date, this is 21st. Start date, let's see, 22nd. Okay. The start date cannot be later than the due date. Okay, the due date. Where is my due date? Due date. This is the due date. So the due date, I made the start date. See the start date? The start date is 21st, 9 at 10 a.m. And this is 21st at 9 a.m. So it's not possible. The due date has to be later. So let's say the due date is, let's say 2 p.m. All right. So there are certain checks that Blackboard is checking for you without you even knowing. So with this, I have created my test. So once it is time for the student to see that, you can click on this and they can see whatever test you have given. This is instruction, the time is 30 minutes and whatever, and they can begin it. But it can only be available for them in the window. But for you as a lecturer, it's always advisable to go through the questions that you've set, right? So you click on this, it asks you for the password that I just entered, right? Then if you or the student enter the correct password, then they can have access to the exam. So this is how it's going to look like. So he can say true and then go to the next question. That's how it will appear, all right? This is how to create and deploy question. And that will bring me to the last part of the presentation. Any question? Do we have any question regarding the third part?
Brother Abubakar, how we can make the printout of that quiz, or how we can see the answer sheet of a student, because we need it for the course wise.
Yeah. Okay, once they are done, there's a way you can see it. I'll talk about it later. Let me talk about the Respondent Monitor, then I'll show you. It's better to view it from the Respondent Monitor. I'll talk about it in a minute. Thank you, Mr. Faith. Any more question? Okay. Now the last part is about, people are very smart. We are conducting our exams online, and students are taking the exam in the comfort of their homes. So it's always very important to make sure that they are not cheating, okay? Blackboard provides us, not just Blackboard, actually, if you're using any e-learning, you can do that, even if you're using whatever. Once your organization provides you with that access, you can. But alhamdulillah, our organization has provided us with lockdown browser and Respondent Monitor. We can use it. So what exactly is lockdown browser? Lockdown browser is just like any other browser, all right? So don't worry about it. Just set your questions just like what we talk about it now. You can create your quiz. You can do your, you have a question bank. You set your questions. You deploy them. Once it is ready, then you can use your lockdown browser for the test. What exactly it is? Lockdown browser is just like any other browser. The only difference is that it helps prevent certain things that the student would like to do. So if a student is using lockdown browser, okay, for a particular test, then he won't be able to, the browser will lock the screen completely. The student cannot visit other sites. The student cannot print. He cannot send email. He cannot copy. So it restricts students from doing certain things that will tempt him to cheat during the exam. All right, that is lockdown browser. It's just like saying the exam sheet or the answer sheet that you give students. If you allow students to use any other sheet, chances are that they may want to cheat by writing something on the paper without you know it, right? So all the answer sheets are approved answer sheets from the college. So it's just like saying lockdown browser is just your answer sheet. That is where, or that is the environment where the students are supposed to answer their questions. Okay. Now, lockdown browser has an additional thing known as Respondent Monitor. Respondent Monitor is just like having a proctor, somebody to supervise students during the exam, right? So they have a camera. The camera will just be looking or observing the student. So the camera, Respondent Monitor is just like your eyes watching over the students. You don't necessarily have to be there while they're writing the exam. You don't need to observe them. If you have online examination where there is a physical person observing the student, then you don't need Respondent Monitor. But if they are conducting the exam in the comfort of their home, then it's important that add Respondent Monitor because it will monitor what the students are doing. So you have a camera recording the whole exam session, and at the end of it all, it gives you a review priority, whether it is low or it's high or something. So if there are chances that the student is cheating, it will help you. So you don't necessarily need to be there. The Respondent Monitor will do everything for you. So how do we use it? Alhamdulillah, as I said, we have our college. It provides us with all these things. Okay. Let me just close this. Okay, I'll go back here. Let's say to that particular course, the same course. Okay, how do you use it? The first thing you need to do is to come to your course management and you go to course tools. There's an option there known as Respondent Lockdown Browser. All right, so you click on this. There are some interesting videos that is very important to watch. It will help you, right? Get started with that. But if you're happy with whatever you have, you can continue to lock down browser. Okay, so here it will show you all the tests that you have. All right, so if you look at here, I just created a workshop quiz for this particular workshop. So you can click on this and change the setting if you want the student to use lockdown browser. Okay, so you can see here, look, just if you look at some of the exercises here, see, I have so many tests here. Some of them lockdown browser is required, some of them no. So I want to make, let me cancel this. See workshop here, it says lockdown browser is not required and Respondent Monitor is also not required. I want to change that. I want the student to use that, right? So if you click on this, I want to click on required Respondent lockdown browser for this exam. Okay, if you want to add additional password, you can add it here. Okay, and the fact that you're using lockdown browser doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use Respondent Monitor. You may decide not to use it, but if you want to use it, you can click on this. All right. Okay, so these are the checks. Once the student is about to start the exam, it will go through this check. It will check his camera, okay, the webcam, and then there will be some additional instruction, some guidelines, student photo and ID. Actually, the guideline student will see some preview of all the guidelines. You can see it here. Let me just show you a preview, right? It will give these terms of use, the webcam, the additional, all these are what the student will see, right? And if you look at student photo, it will ask the student, it will take a photo of the student. So it goes like this. I don't have to take my photo, so I'll just block it and cancel it. But if you allow it, it will allow you to take the photo, all right? And then show ID card, it will request that the student show his ID card, all right? If you click on this, so you want to make sure that the person is sitting for the exam is the same person, right? So first, mashallah, Respondent Monitor will take a photograph of him, and then he will show his ID. That way we know that he's actually the person taking the exam. And then environment check. You can also click on this. The student will be required to click on this, and the camera will just check his environment. So he's not allowed to have some additional computer or some books around him or something. So he will just need to show his environment that, okay, I have this and that and everything. So once he's done, it will allow him to go to facial detection and all that. So once you finish, once you set this, so what we are saying for this is that this test, the workshop test, requires lockdown browser and Respondent Monitor, and you save it. Okay. Once we're done, once we're done with that, you can see that now a lockdown browser is required. Respondent Monitor is also required. So if the student tries to access this test using any other browser, it will not allow him. He has to do it. He has to access it using a lockdown browser. And the way it goes is going to be the same as what we just showed a couple of minutes ago. The only difference is that if the student is using lockdown browser, he won't be able to do so many things, right? So going back to Mr. Faisal's question, assuming I have these things, right? Let me give you an example. I'm done with my test. This is the test that I have. Just a minute. A student has taken this test. I've given to a student and he has taken it. You can come here and check. You can check the setting. You can check the class results or just statistics. Let me just go to class results, right? You can see certain things like the priority. There's one student here. He has completed the course. The priority is this, and the duration is that. Let me see, what else can I see here? Exam statistics. Okay. This is some of the statistics that you can see. But let's see the video first. I'm trying to see this. Look at the result. This one. Right. See, it should show me you have the complete video of what happened during the exam. Can you see that? So, and it also tells you the priority, it's low, so I don't need to worry about anything. But if the review priority is high, then I need to check. Maybe he was doing something wrong. Anyway, in case you are not sure of what the student did, you can check the whole thing, and the whole video is available for you to see, right? So this is how to check what the student has done once he has finished it. Okay, so this brings me to the end of the presentation. If you have any more questions, please bring it on, or any comment. I prefer to have comments. Thank you very much for attending. Any more questions?
Yeah, actually, I have a question, Mr. Abubakar.
Yes, Mr. Dr.
Yeah, actually, regarding the policy for selecting Respondent Monitor or selecting the browser, etc. This policy is decided by the department, or there is a policy already decided for the college?
I think Dr. Ali is in a better position to answer this question. Dr. Ali, over to you. Policy. Dr. Ali? Okay, he's not here, I guess.
Not
All right,
here.
regarding,
If you can ask the question again.
Yes,
If you can please ask the question again, just to hear it.
Okay, is there a policy from the college or department regarding the Respondent Monitor or lockdown browser? Like for all exams, we have to follow this, or it is under test right now?
It is already tested, and it's Jubail actually team is using this feature in Jubail. We announced to all the students to prepare, their devices with the lockdown browser, and also we give a workshop in the first week of the semester regarding the lockdown browser and how to use it. Now it is up to the academic department to use actually this feature or not. But actually we recommend, using them because they prevent cheating. This is one of the most important issue that should be resolved. We are providing the tools, but it's about the academic department to decide, if they are going to use that or not. It is better to advise, the department and ask them, directly about using these tools.
Yeah, regarding the Respondent Monitor, also it has been explained to the students.
Yes.
And the most of us are finding difficulty. The students are joining the online classes, but they are saying, teacher, our mic is not working, our camera is not working, we have this problem, we don't have laptop even. They are saying they are joining from mobile. So,
Wallahi, Akil, some students are saying we don't have internet connection and we want to do the online exam. So it's very hard sometimes to answer, their or to satisfy their needs.
No, Student Affairs Department, if they're forcing them that they must have these resources, so only then we can make sure from the department that okay, fine, we are going to do this. But
yes, Akil, I agree with you, but actually they have to know that we are studying now online, and these tools should be available. Internet connection, a good device, the PC or laptop in a good condition is also important, and it's actually their responsibility. We are not going to provide them computers or laptops, but it's important to use. But again, Mr. Akil, this is a department call, okay? If the department decided not to use the lockdown browser and leave it open, it's up to them, But at the end, we as an e-learning agency, we provide all the tools to make the exam more secured. So this is the point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali and Dr. Ali and Dr. Akil. I remember Mr. Faisal asked me one question, Faisal Sana, how to view I think the result, he said, to grade the students, right? You can go to Grading Center. In Grading Center, I think I explained it before. You can look at either things that you need to grade or you want to see everything. Let me just go to things that you need to grade. If you look at this, I have created an assignment here, a quiz. A student took it. I didn't grade it yet, and there's an assignment, right? So if you click on this, it shows you the attempt by student and those questions that you know he has not, that are service, for instance, all these are multiple questions. You can see them. It shows you, right? This one he filled them, he entered it wrongly and all that. So those one that he filled, you can be here. And I have an AC question. This is an AC question. For the AC question, they will see that there's no point mentioned here. So you can add the point for the AC, right? So this is how to look to view the question, inshallah. I hope I've answered all your questions. Thank you very much, everybody. If there's no any other question, then we'll stop recording now.
One more question, Brother Abubakar.
Okay.
When we create the pool for one section, how can I make sure it's there for the other section when I go there to create a quiz?
When you create a pool for one section, how are you sure that it is in another section?
Yes, on another section.
It's not going to be in another section. You have to replicate it. So what you need to do is just export it and upload it. So remember to you see how to import question. So export the pool and import it there. But it's not going to be available just like that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like each section is treated as a different course. But as Dr. Ali mentioned, they're working on how to make one course, and we can effectively and expeditiously manage all the sections within that course, right? But for now, you can simply replicate it. Just it's going to take 1 minute or 2 minutes for you to do it. It will be the same question, and then you use it.
Thank you.
Any more question? Okay, I'll stop the recording here now. Thank you very much for your time. I hope everybody will all benefit from the presentation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.